He urged Republicans to get to the polls to close that narrow gap between him and Democratic challenger Jamie Harrison. This race is, of course, gaining national attention as Republicans are fighting to keep control over the U.S. Senate. South Carolina lawmakers are trying to pass a much more narrow legalization law, only allowing those with certain conditions access to medical marijuana, but they won't be allowed to smoke it. Also new tonight, a man who sexually assaulted a woman while on a flight to Myrtle Beach has been sentenced to 2 years in prison. Chris and Jasmine Wright, police tells him they arrived on scene. He was actually dousing himself with liquid and trying to set himself on fire. That happened right behind me. This is as close as the scene that we can get right now, but police tell us 3 officers responded. Jasmine, good morning. So pretty heartbreaking to see people coming back to look at their home for the first time, to find it destroyed, everything they own completely wiped out. You can even see some of this damage here where that side of the wall, that home is completely gone. And look at this board. It's stuck right inside this home. Welcome back to News 13's Palmetto Pot War Special. 36 states have legalized medical marijuana, leading some to leave South Carolina to get the help they say they need. In this next story, one man did just that. Let's get to what you need to know with News 13's Megan Miller. And Megan, the biggest question, who's included in this phase?
What's kind of your thoughts on the timeline of how things have been handled thus far?
But Republicans don't like the price tag. They say it's too much public spending for a pandemic that's almost over, and are taking a calculated political risk, hoping Americans won't like the big dollar aid. Tony, right now our area is under a tropical storm warning. So when could we start to see the effects of Elsa? Heather Elvis's family has been waiting for this for nearly 5 years, but until they find Heather, they won't have closure. But they say they're one step closer. But one thing I want to kind of show you a note. You see the Cherry Grove Pier right here. When I talked to the pier manager yesterday, he told me that as long as those lights on the pier are on, that is a good sign. And they have been on throughout the night and continue to be on today. And in today's growth tracker, the Myrtle Beach area is now the fastest growing place in the country. That's according to new data from U.S. News and World Report. 90% of the people in this area have evacuated. It's only 10% of people in the Cherry Grove area are still here. Now, for those 10% people, as I said, once it gets too dangerous, first responders can't come out to you. But the fire chief wanted us to reiterate to you that you can still call 911 because those dispatchers can help talk you through those emergencies. Police have been on the scene for about 6 hours now. We're actually a lot closer, so you can kind of see a better look of what exactly happened. Yukon police tried to stop the driver of that truck you're seeing right there just after 1:45 this morning, then started a slow speed chase. The driver pulled over, put the truck in reverse, and rammed into the officer's patrol car, then took off. Another officer joined the chase, and the driver stopped right over here in the Fairfield Inn parking lot, put the truck in reverse yet again, and rammed into another patrol car. Well, there's no question that this room is filled with excitement as Lindsey Graham wins his 4th term as U.S. Senator. The crowd started chanting 6 more years, and Senator Graham just wrapped up his acceptance speech where he had a message for his supporters saying that people like what I'm doing and I'm going to keep doing it. He even spoke directly to Nancy Pelosi, saying he's to do everything in his power to stop the liberal agenda and do whatever he can to keep confirming justices. He said President Trump even called to congratulate him. He did get emotional in the end of his speech, though, and saying that this is the most challenged he's ever been, but that he is humbled to be serving his 4th term as a senator. Now he has a lot of work moving ahead as we are still in the midst of a pandemic, but he could become the Senate Budget Committee chair. But for tonight, Senator Graham is celebrating. Reporting live in Columbia for News 13, I'm Julie Calhoun.
Thanks a lot, Frank. Well, violent crime is up all over the country and also up around here. This year, News 13, though, has tracked the number of reported shootings across our viewing area. And as we come on the air tonight, there have been 198 shootings so far this year.
For tonight's Crime Tracker special report, News 13's Julie Calhoun joins us with a look at those hotspots and what exactly our local agencies are doing to curb the violence. Good evening, Julie.
Bob and Megan, murders went up 25% statewide in 2020. It's not just a statistic. It's family and friends who have lost a loved one to violence, including a father who's still trying to find his son's killer. For more than a year, Jay Gibson has been left without answers or justice for his son, Sean.
He was taken from us. That was the toughest phone call I ever got in my life.
Sean Gibson was shot and killed in Timmonsville on Bird Street in March of 2020.
Sean was a loving dad. When he died, he had a 5-month-old baby. that she'll never see her father again. He would always make you smile. He was always joking and cutting up.
But Sean's family isn't giving up. They're offering an $11,500 reward for information that leads to an arrest and conviction.
We need to know what happened to our son that night.
Halfway through 2021, and at least 68 people across our entire viewing area have been shot and killed.
There's been so many murders around this area. It's unbelievable. So many people devastated because of nonsense.
Of the 181 days between January 1st and June 30th, there were 111 days with a shooting. The hotspots are Florence and Darlington counties, leading the Darlington County Sheriff and Police Chief to address the public about the spike in violent crime and announce the formation of a never-before homicide unit. Hartsville, Darlington County's largest city, is no exception.
Actually, we have seen an increase in the number of shooting calls, even if somebody doesn't get hit.
There have been at least 15 shootings in the Hartsville area. 10 of those were deadly.
2 years ago, if you asked me who's going to get shot, we could say probably drug dealers and maybe some domestic partners. Now it seems more of a respect issue.
Lieutenant Mark Blair with Hartsville Police says it's generally younger males involved.
I think it's very sad that so many lives get cut short because of the simplest things that turn deadly. You know, saying the wrong thing about somebody else that then turns into fight, that then turns into, you know, a long-term beef or a gunfight.
To prevent shootings, Hartsville PD is turning to technology. It's using ATF's National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, called NIBIN. There are 245 NIBIN sites in the country and just 3 in this state. One is at Sled, where we got a first-hand look.
We like to say gun tracing kind of describes or explains the birth of a firearm, where NIBIN sort of explains how it lives its life.
When a gun is fired, unique markings are left behind on a cartridge case. Like a person's fingerprints, no 2 guns are the same. Agencies across the state bring those cases to Sled's NIBIN lab, plus recovered guns to be test fired and submitted. The firearms markings are scanned into the system. The technology takes 3D images of ballistic evidence. The information is then turned into data that can be compared across jurisdictions to see if that weapon has been used in other crimes.
You can see the ejector is in the same position.
Mean says the NIBIN system has been in place for 20 years, but it's grown tremendously in the past 5. He says because it works. 20% of all acquisitions generate a lead.
The traditional means we would do in law enforcement, or we would maybe investigate individuals, which would lead us to the evidence. We're actually investigating the evidence, and it's leading us to those who are committing violent crime in our community.
Hartsville PD hopes this technology will help get guns and violent offenders off the street, but what they also need is the community to come forward with information.
Staying silent on something could lead to a murder. So speaking up could prevent a murder.
And while Jay Gibson prays for someone to speak up in Sean's case, he comes here to one of Sean's favorite places to talk to his son.
I feel Sean here, and he'll always be here for me.
ATF is working to have a NIBIN site within an hour of every agency in the state. Myrtle Beach Police received a grant for its own NIBIN site and is working to get it up and running. ATF says it's looking forward to Myrtle Beach's site to see if shootings here could be connected to crimes in larger cities like Atlanta. Bob and Megan, back to you.